Hey, academics, thank you so much for coming back through to our stage. You know, it's the 100 side, the best side. We appreciate you taking your time out today. We do have some questions from on the stage. I know Tink DS, but I also have a question to open up. So, just watching your video, I saw how you walked in, kind of smooth. You was trying to get your hat right, front, back.
Yeah.
Then you started moving furniture. Were you expecting to have a stand-up interview face-to-face with Kanye? And how did you adjust to all of that?
Uh, that's why I like how. By the way, thank you for your question. By the way, shout out to the on the side. Um, that's what I do like about it being like you see me get out the car and you then see him get in the car. Like everything is unedited, but I had no idea what to expect. I'm thinking, I don't know if I've met a billionaire before. I don't know. Well, I guess I have, but I haven't been a hip hop. But I thought it was going to be a lot of people. I thought it was going to be, and again, I've heard stories about Ye, like just his personality. Sometimes he could be hot, he could be cold. So I didn't know what it was going to be, and also like, because it's Kanye, I think I look at him when it comes to production, not only music but even video, as having really high standards, and I'm like, dog, I'm doing this off of a vlog mic and a camera, and I was a little bit nervous, definitely nervous. And also, here's the thing too, somebody said in my chat, they were like, "Yo, bro, out of all the people you support and the people you like, bro, Kanye West gave you this interview before a lot of them." And also, here's the thing, I was surprised how it was just me and him. It wasn't like a bunch of red tape. I told him this. I said, usually the richer people they have people around them and it gets bureaucratic, and you're dealing with, you got to talk to the assistant that talks to the stylist who jumps on set to be like, yo, I got to fix his hair, I got to fix his shirt. And it was only Ye in that room, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm glad how it turned out, but was I nervous? Hell yeah. And of course, him asking me to move the furniture, nigga, sorry my language, but like, at that point I became an IKEA worker. Who cares? I was just, hey, I'm a
Right,
person though.
whatever.
Yeah, I'm a person who, like, I've always got my hands dirty. Like, what people don't realize about me, like, way back in the day, this is 2013. Like, I last had a regular job in 2013. I had, which I just brought back to my house at this point because I'm a hoarder a little bit. I had this Mazda 3. I used to record YouTube videos out the back of it when I used to tell my boss I'm going to the bathroom. So I would record YouTube videos out of that. So I only say that to say, like, if I need to get my hands dirty, like, I'm always down for that. I'm not the guy who walks in like, all right, set up production and just mic me up and let's go. Like, hey, if I'm moving furniture, I was going to get it done by hook or by crook. I don't care what it was, even if it was on an iPhone.
Dope. Yeah, it was definitely a great interview. And I thought of all of those things. I was like, man, how did he even score this stand-up interview? Because it ended up being a stand-up interview. But shoot, it sounds like you have some connections. Now, was it one of those things where you did have to speak to his assistant first, or it was like a direct line you had?
Yes, so there was like, one person in between just kind of trying to set up logistics at first before everything went haywire. And by the way, I do want to address, because I do see this people saying this on Twitter. They're saying, fuck the KKK outfit and whatever he had going on. The most impressive thing was this nigga Akademiks stood for a straight hour. That deserves a Pulitzer Prize. It wasn't as uncomfortable as you think. Honestly, I was just standing there like, I didn't know what he was gonna do. Like, I at times I felt he was gonna, I don't know. I really don't know. Like, so it didn't even feel like I was standing. I felt like I was like floating. That might sound dick runnerish, but I felt like I was like floating in that space, and I was like struggling at times to like process everything he was saying at the level that he wanted to make sure I'm asking the right questions. And he definitely had his point of what he wanted to get out. So, and by the way, he requested the interview. He requested it, so he requested it on Twitter. And
dope.
I think the reason why he requested it, I sent out a tweet and I said, I think this year people have to channel their yay energy. And the reason why I said that was that, I definitely think speech and how people, like this woke stuff, and it could be woke in any type of way you want to think about it. It's kind of made people so scared to say what's on their mind. And that doesn't mean I agree with everything he says, but being able to say what's on your mind, hopefully it's not going to, like, everyone doesn't hate you for it. But I do think that's a ideal that people are missing on social media and on just like the internet period, where people should be able to say what what you feel. Hopefully it's not something that'll get you to lose your job or your bank accounts, but I think that's the Ye energy I was talking about. I think he's seen that, and then he was just like, yo, I want to connect with that guy because he's at least seeing some facet of me being able to express myself and me valuing that. So yeah, and that's another reason why I kept it, or I wanted to keep it unedited. And by the way, I think it was pretty much unedited.
It definitely appeared to come across unedited. And that is something I like about you too, is like you kind of just have your own opinion and you keep it real to yourself. So shout out to you. I do have some more team members on stage who are looking to ask some questions. Tink, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. What's up, Ek?
Tink, what's good?
This
I've heard your name a few times. I've heard Wax say it. I heard you kick the lid off a couple things on here.
just a couple, just a couple. But I did want to ask the question because I'm from Chicago. With Kanye being from Chicago, I know you have heavily interview with Dirk and things to that nature, G Herbo, Polo G, all of these people, especially when it came down to your Warren Chirac era or whatever, with everything that you cover with the Chicago culture, did this interview, did it make you look at Chicago a little differently, or was you more so looking at, just Kanye, period, within himself?
Well, I definitely say that, so, Chicago, I think is just, first of all, Chicago is a super multifaceted place, because if you could think about...
You better say that.
Think about me interviewing Dirk, and then think about me interviewing Kanye. By the way, I've interviewed even Dreezy back in the day, but there's different waves of it with Kanye. I'm gonna be honest with you, and Whack might have thought I was just dick riding trying to get to Japan. I really do look at this guy as really one of the best hip hop artists, really the best hip hop artist of all time. So being able to try to soak up some game, or at least trying to challenge him, or even I didn't think this was gonna happen that quickly. So it definitely made me look at Chicago. Chicago artists show me a lot of love, and I try to show them love. So I think that's what we could say. Anytime when people bring up whether it's War Chirac or whatever, definitely my career has 100% not only been benefited by Chicago, but Chicago is always tied into my story, whether it's the artists I've covered, whether it's the love I've gotten, or even sometimes some of the backlash. But it's all part of the story. So I love Chicago. And I love the fact that there's that dichotomy between a Ye and a Dirk, a Ye and a Vaughn, or a Ye and a Keith. So yeah, Chicago's a great place, especially for music. Well, for music.
For everything, food, everything, you got it in Chicago. But I'm gonna pass it off to
T. Bradshaw. T. Bradshaw, you on the stage?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, T. Bradshaw, you up next.
Trap Bradshaw. So, seeing throughout the whole interview that Ye had a lot to say about, he was kind of kicking down on not kicking down, but going at Kendrick and bigging up Drake though, man. Do you feel as if where do you think the change of feelings came from?
That's a really good question. So, what I kind of realized about everything that was happening, right? And this is how, if you're wondering, I try to do a director's cut, reacting to the interview when it first came out. But one thing I realized is that all of his beefs, or all of the things, the axes he had to grind, kind of came from the same things, right? So, for example, because and by the way, I was speaking to him the other night as well, and he had talked about, he had mentioned something about R. Kelly, and for him, it's him seeing certain people, and he feel like he's seen how the media or whatever did to them, and not that these people are like angels or whatever, but he identifies somewhat with it. And I think that's where the Drake thing comes in. I think he still looks at Drake as a rival. I don't think he really rocks with Drake like that. You get what I'm saying? That's a whole different thing. But I think when he looked at it, he's like, you know what? What's happening to Drake is what happens when partially the industry has pressed the button to say, we've had enough of you. and we're gonna humble you and put you in check. And that's how he looks at it. And for him, he looks at himself to say, yeah, they tried to do the same thing to me. So I think that's why he speaks maybe pro Drake in a sense of comparing it to Kendrick, and he probably speaks against Kendrick because he's saying, yo, Kendrick, you might think that this is just about you winning a back and forth versus this other guy, but you should also realize that there's other forces. It's not just you. Great, you made a great song. You did good in the battle, but it's not just you. There's other forces that are affecting this, and I know this too well because those same forces, when they wanted to humble me or get me out of the paint, they also affected me. So I think that's where his criticism is. He uses a Matrix reference where he's like, yo, and he said it with Cardi, and he kept saying like he feels Cardi's operating on the behalf of some of these people with that invisible hand that's, trying to either push a certain agenda, this and third. And I guess he's saying that to Kendrick where he's saying, yo, a lot of what you're doing now, as you may think it's you, but there's an agenda behind it. And I'm never going to be cool with those people that end up being agents of those people with the agenda. So if you understand that point, I think you might understand why he's speaking about Kendrick a lot. Now, he also admitted that he is jealous. And I thought that was a very introspective view and also an honest view, right? Like, of course, he's human. He wanted to be on an album. Whatever that happened with the Cardi thing, again, he knows just like I know. Cardi made certain decisions. Kendrick got on the album a few times, supposedly had some maybe input, and however it came about, it was decided that Kanye shouldn't be on the album. So you can see why he's feeling a certain type of way about it. He's not just spewing just random like whatever. It's coming from his POV, if you get what I'm saying.
Nah, I got you. You seen the No Kid video yet?
You low as fuck, Bradshaw. You low, bro. Go ahead.
No, I was asking a simple question. I'm good. I'm fixing my mic over here. I'll be back in a minute.
Wait. Was he asking if I saw the No Kid video? No, I didn't see the No Kid video yet, but I see circulating on Twitter.
That's what I asked just now. Yeah, that's what I asked.
Okay, there you go. Bradshaw, listen, bro. Listen, brother. You at home over here.
It's a fact. Good
Listen. You know the things I got to deal with, you don't have to deal with on this floor. It's order over here, Bradshaw. Hey, Ion, if Ion's in that goo, y'all find my brother, pull him up. You welcome
He on stage.
Ion, go ahead. And don't ever disrespect me like that again. I'm going to attack you. Motherfucker asked me, could he ask a question?
So I have a question for you, academics. Well, first of all, one great interview. It was really dope.
By the way, thank you. It means a lot from you because I know we've kind of
There you go. My boy remembered him.
Of course I remember. That means a lot from you. Appreciate it. Hey, not to cut you off, but I will say, I was also thinking about that, like walking away from the situation. I'm like, I didn't want to be the person who let everybody down, that everybody was going to say, this dude because sometimes I talk a lot, which I am right now. Like, either I talk too much or I was too opinionated or I didn't do enough pushback or.
Nah, you did good.
Yeah, I'm very happy about that. But continue.
No, I really appreciated how you let things like flow because, sometimes, interviewing people, because I've interviewed a few people, including him, if you like too direct, it can go like different places, but you definitely tapped into his creative side. And the way that interview flowed, we were able to see things from a different perspective. But I wanted to know, because there was like an awkward space when y'all left the hotel room and there was these people who worked for him.
Yeah.
And it almost was like whole energy change. I wanted to know, like, what was your experience and what was you thinking when you saw this, black billionaire come out with this KKK mask and a White Lives Matter shirt, and then he had like these, white people ironing his shit for him, basically going through his bag and helping him prep for this types of stuff, and then coming to find out that Skims, the lady who was Kim Kardashian robbed Skims from, was actually on Kanye West's team. And it almost was like a moment where Kanye like just gave that look, like, you see what's going on here. What was your experience there? And tell me what you thought about that.
Yeah, so you're gonna see like when we get into the hallway. I actually even say because sometimes it's easy to be one version of yourself, either in private or maybe you could do it on Twitter or in controlled spaces. But when you're around other people, to be unapologetically yourself, and I said it to Ye, I said like he would never talk like he had to like brace for people's feelings about what he felt and what he wanted to do. And a lot of times we see this like in the black community a bit, where it's like we'll act a certain type of way when it's just us. Then when we get to the white people, like we're like a fully sanitized version, or it's like very different. And I just noticed that, obviously some of these people are on his team or whatever, but I just noticed he's just the same person and he's just him. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't understand. Like, I only realized, and I did the Googling afterwards, when he introduced me, I didn't really think that was really the person. So, the person who supposedly headed up Skims and everything, I get to realize, I'm like, oh shit, like, that's like actually a moment there. But I was kind of confused. I was just like, there, like, okay, wait, is he gonna wear this out in public? And then he gave me the White Lives Matter t-shirt. I'm like, well, this is like epic. This is going on eBay. Now I'm playing. But I'm like,
You should frame that.
but the whole time I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, I didn't even the guy too. I don't know if he was wearing like a religious outfit. I didn't know, bro. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that was weird as hell, seeing that guy just standing there, and I'm like, what is going on here? I really wanted to know your thought process.
Yo, and I'm
like,
not
what?
that versed on like like religion that much. So I'm like kind of looking at him. I'm like, it's not like a Jewish outfit, is it? Like, hold on, I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know. So I'm looking at Kanye. I'm looking at him. I'm seeing if they're gonna look at him and be like, yo, wait, you still have the swastika chain on? I don't like. I was just sitting there, just watch my face, and I wish the cameraman like panned to everyone else, because I'm just kind of like, this is Kanye.
What did that tell you? Listen, in that moment, I don't think you understood what that moment meant. That moment right there has never ever happened in that manner. You step out, you got Ye, you got some Jewish people, you got some people got some position in a very prominent company, and you got Ye showing off the goddamn clan outfit with the swastika chain, and they are embracing it. What does that tell you about that man?
Man, I told me he's just apologetically himself, and also, by the way, I also give him credit. He never told me he even said, bring the cameraman inside the elevator to keep rolling.
Yeah, he don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
He don't care.
Yeah, it also told me, like, to him, what he sees as outrage is not necessarily, he matches it with what he sees around him, right? So when people are online just giving like maybe some blanket opinions like, oh, I can't believe you're doing this, he cares more about it, because he even said it. He was like, yo, he's like, I usually talk to some people who I would consider woke, and I asked them, what about what I'm saying offends you? So he looks like he's having these conversations. So I don't know. I'm telling you, I watched it happen live, and even now I'm watching the video, and I feel like Quando Rondo was an out of body experience. I'm gonna be honest. Like I'm like, damn, that all happened very naturally, unplanned, unpredictable. Yeah.
Bang, you in here quiet as fuck. I know you grew up and have you on restriction. You got some questions for Act Bang? Crazy.
I know CL had a question on DS.
Oh yeah, especially DS. Yeah, where's Motor Mouth at? Motor Mouth.
I got a pretty mouth, but I do have a couple questions. Let's see. What's something that you learned about Kanye that you didn't know before y'all interview?
You know what it is? I feel like once he gives you his word, he'll stick to it. And I see why he feels so disrespected when people don't stick to their word, or when relationships or people go against him. Because, for him, even that happening, that interview happening like that, he's like, hey, Ak, I know we were supposed to do it yesterday, and I was supposed to leave. And he essentially told me, I gave you my word I was going to do this. I'm going to do it. And I think Wax said the same thing. You know, it's important when you could value a man's word. When you could value a man's word with his actions, I think that matters. And I can see why, despite what the narrative and people say about him and like him personally, I can see why people do go around him. You know what I mean? Like he's very direct. He's gonna tell you what he means, but also if he gives you his word, he's gonna stick to it. And I like that. Because if you had asked me when I got on that plane, I thought it was a 60-40 I did the interview. I think what was gonna happen, I would have probably met with him, and then I've done this a lot. Sometimes these rappers, they're just not in the mood for an interview, or they're like, oh, okay, I gotta go somewhere, or just stick around indefinitely, and it'll happen eventually, and you end up just pretty much leaving. But he stuck to his word, so I respect it.
That was my next question. Were you afraid to be alone with Kanye on that jet, or why didn't you really go to Japan with him?
I'm gonna be honest. Well, first of all, Japan is very far, but number two, I was also thinking, I'm like, maybe I was just thinking about, I'm just not even in the place to. It just feels like something I would plan for. I'm like, I can't.
You were thinking about your shits in the hotel room, your girl here, your people.
Yeah, you started thinking. Yeah, you started thinking.
I already know.
You started thinking logistically, right? I'm thinking.
What you were supposed to do was.
I'm thinking I got my dogs in Jersey. I'm thinking so many things. I'm like, nah, I can't go right now.
Your girl was supposed to go back and handle that. And what you were supposed to do, send her back to handle that, and then you were supposed to fly her to you, bro. That's it. He'd have let her come back with y'all. He don't trip like that.
And also, I'm gonna be honest with you, there was like, I didn't know if that invitation was like, all right, if I said yes, it was like, okay, well, hop in the car and let's go now.
No, that's what that was. No, he'd have told you and the camera crew, let's roll. And that would have been it. Bro, if he'd have had stragglers, he'd have put them on a regular flight. I'm telling you. I know it. Like, what you was supposed, if you would have hit me and said, whack, this nigga did, I'd have said, look, bro, tell your girl, go pack your shit up, send her back, handle, get the house locked down, book her a ticket, I'll give you my agent, he get the shit for the low, we'll pay half to get her over there to you. He gonna take you and your camera crew, but get on that motherfucking jet. I'm telling you. I'd have told you to get on that jet, because you'd have came back with a movie. And you'd have came back probably with some points in the company or some shit. That's just how he do.
And I agree with that too. So won't say too much, but he FaceTime from Japan. He has a whole situation over there.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's the worst mistake.
I had to ask him, like, wait, this is Japan? Like, he has it set up over there where it's not like he's just there just randomly. He has a whole operation with a whole team working. Just like I saw those team working when he was at like his big ass factory or warehouse in LA. So I'm like, wow, he just has all of these facilities around the world where he has 10 things working, and he's giving me a tour. He's like, this we're doing here, we're doing this here, we're doing this here, we're doing this here. And he's having a meeting while he's on a call with us, and then something he didn't like, and he's like, I'm gonna call you right back. I need to have a team meeting real quick. He's doing 30 things at once. I think that's probably the most impressive thing about him too.
That's a fact. Brock, where Brock? Brock ain't in here. I got my hitters. It's quiet. Brock.
Yeah, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Actors Brock, man.
What up, Brock?
All right, so bro, I know you believe, because you're one of the leaders of the new school as far as the independent media, unbiased, because you're not like controlled by the powers that be. So let me see. So even though you kind of feel like you unbiased and an independent media source, do you feel sometimes sorry, I got the baby. Do you feel sometimes compelled to my bad, had to be off. Do you feel sometimes compelled to be biased to balance out the narrative sometimes? Cause looking at what happened to Drake last year, you got the Kendrick situation, and then the whole media kind of changed on Drake. I kind of seen you kind of take the stance of the balancer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I had this conversation even with Drake. I was like, yo, listen, this is the first time ever I felt like, because I felt like I got to the heights of independent media, I felt a lot of narratives that came out, I was maybe a part of help even push. whether rightly or wrongly or whatever. But when it came to the Drake shit, it was just like it became so much like politics. Where I remember saying to him, I'm like, "Yo, the crazy thing is if I give a Kendrick Lamar song any credit, first of all, Kendrick has a great digital team. They clip it and they use that to say Drake's biggest fan even likes this Kendrick shit. And when you see that happening, like not only in media, it kind of makes you like, all right, well, so the only way not to be taken out of context there is, oh, I just gotta only like Drake and never criticize Drake, or not like Kendrick, or never give Kendrick credit. And I ain't gonna lie, that was probably, especially during the battle, that was one of the toughest things that I had to get over with, right? Because it's like, you know, with all due respect to Wax Guy, DJ Head is like, he's very comfortable with just being, I'm Kendrick's guy, right? For me, at the end of the day, this was an amazing battle. I love Drake's music. I like Kendrick's music too at times, but I got to cover all of hip hop. Hip hop is not going to only end with Drake. At times I got to cover Playboi Carti. I got to cover, Future. So I have to be balanced with that. So I remember just saying to myself, I'm like, listen, I get it. And I told Drake too. I said, Drake, yo, if you see because I think he had asked me about a clip. But he asked me about a clip because it seemed hypocritical. And I said, no, this clip is, I've been critiquing this, that, and the third from you, right? That's not me now hating on you. Like, I've always given you props, but I've always been one of the biggest critics of Drake. And I'm like, I don't want this battle to change that. If I can't critique you now because now I gotta be a Drake fan and defend you all the time, this don't sound like a good way to do media at all. So, and that wasn't his demeanor. And he agreed with the same thing. He said, listen, yo, as long, and his thing first early on was about some personal stuff too. That's where him and Joe fell out. It was just like, yo, listen, talk about my music. Don't throw it in the air like I'm some fucking weirdo like that likes young girls. Like, what the fuck? What are you coming up with that shit?
Right.
But yeah, it did get to a point where it's like, for example, like, look how they weaponized against me. Bro, I like Euphoria. I really think that's one of the, it's way better song than Not Like Us. Euphoria is a masterful song. Me saying that, every Kendrick page clips right there and be like, Drake's biggest fan says Kendrick made it, and it became, that's how people were doing it, right? So now it's like, so now I can't tell you I like anything by Kendrick. So now it seems more like I'm just biased for Drake. You get what I'm saying? And
yeah,
and that's the tough part. But I think we're getting past it a little bit. I'm glad other people, when I said Cardi saved hip hop, it wasn't necessarily like he saved hip hop, but he's changing the subject. For a year straight, it's been Drake, Kendrick, and we're still talking about Drake and Kendrick. But we're finally getting other hip hop artists and other hip hop, storylines that we could talk about, other than just this back and forth thing. Shit, even Kanye, I'm glad Kanye even, put an interview out, even though he's still talking about Kendrick and Drake. But I do think after a while, this Kendrick Drake shit has gotten, media personalities compromised. I think it's gotten media entities more biased because, as I've seen some people say and agree with it, hip hop is kind of going back to a time where it's you pick what you like, right? Where there was a time where the backpackers, the people who like backpack music, if you like the Talib Kweli's and the Mos Defs, you were the people who were saying, yeah, I don't fuck with that Jay-Z shit, man. Yo, he's watered down. You know what I mean? It wasn't like you liked both. So it was like you either picked one or the other. And you had people like Jay-Z who would rap like, yo, I dumbed down for my audience, but double my dollars. It'd be like, yo, truth be told, he said I could be rhyming like common sense, but all those lyrics about why he doesn't
rhyming like common sense.
Exactly. Yeah. And hip hop is kind of getting back to that, where it's getting split, where you have the people who they're like, we're on the side of substance and saying some shit in your music that means something, but also regionality, like the whole West Coast is rocking with Kendrick, versus other people are like, well, we don't want to hear that preaching shit. We can't read a dictionary in the club. We're over here with the hit music or whatever the case is. So hip hop is kind of getting split again. You know, before there was a time that I think people were just lumping all of it into the same bucket. But I think these days niggas is clearly saying, I don't like that, I like this. And it's happening on both sides. So, you know, on a media perspective, I just try to keep it fair and balanced and try to make sure, you know, because at the end of the day, here's the thing. Kendrick is gonna drop, right? So it's like if you vow to just hate on Kendrick for the end of time, he's gonna make good moments. He's gonna do good things because he's a good artist. So you can't take it too personal. That's why I'm glad this moment, slowly and surely, it's kind of dissipating.
Yeah, for me, those are like my ones and twos. I would call what you talking about like the great divide, the hip hop civil war, like to where it's like kind of that divide. I do see what you're saying, but that was kind of what I was touching on because it seems like it forced you to be a little biased, only to be a contrarian to the mainstream, which is crazy that you had to ironically support Drake, which is like the most mainstream ever, against the actual mainstream because he took the role as like, you know, the underground guy in this situation of what was going on. So I see why you had to, and I see why, like, you know, the Akademiks page on Twitter is always going to be like damn near like the anti, what do you say, DJ Head's on this side, the Akademiks page is like on that side. My point, I just wanted to see if you felt like pressure from the outside, which you kind of did, like kind of touch into, like feel like you had to kind of help Drake out, you know, for a little bit to kind of play contrarian to what the narratives was.
And by the way, here's the thing too, right? I always say this. One of the most like, you know, I always call my audience chat niggas. And there was a time when I first start, like, you know, making these videos and I could start seeing my audience because I was seeing the same faces or names in the comment section. They all used to just clown me. Like they had like these pages pop up. Akademiks is the type of nigga that whatever, and they would just like make fun of me, right? And I mean, at times I used to even like, damn, my audience don't rock with me. And it wasn't until the pretty much one of the most proudest moments of my, you know, development with especially my audience. I seen how they rode for me. It's like it's like a big brother, little brother thing. Like, oh yeah, we could fuck with him, but y'all can't. And I remember was that when I was at Complex, because I remember like I was like the whole situation at Complex wasn't the best at first, and I remember my audience was just like, yo, y'all doing our guy wrong. Fuck y'all. We about to go crazy on y'all. And that's when I realized I'm like, damn, these people really do love me. And I say that to say when it comes to this, you know, like say the Drake stuff, and this does bleed into it. At the end of the day, I'm a Drake fan. Right? So, like, do I clown Drake about duck lips, this and third, and certain shit he might do that's goofy? Of course. But when your guy is under attack, you do start like, hold on now. Hold on. All right, hold on. Y'all doing too much. And that is a little bit part of why you see Drake fans so, you know, activated. Why you see Kendrick fans so activated for him. And shit, a little bit for me too, though, because I'm like, yo, y'all are trying to tell me that this music that I've enjoyed from this guy is like some shit that y'all want to get out of here. No, this is music I like. This is what I like. And yes, it's a little bit defense. I think I probably am a little bit defensive with Drake a little bit because this is the shit I enjoy, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just like if I'm arguing with someone who enjoys Kendrick music for the most part, they're going to be saying, whoa, what you mean this is only battle rap, free the slaves music? What the fuck are you like? They would get upset as well. So
sports is the perfect analogy, bro.
Exactly.
It's like
Sports
Cowboys, like yeah, because those is my 1 and 2, bro. It's like LeBron and fucking Kobe. Like those are literally my 1 and 2 for the last decade. You know what I'm saying? What's up, bro? So like looking at the situation was very conflicting for me. So I understand where you were at. I'm a huge Kendrick fan and I'm a huge Drake fan. So when the whole situation was going on, I felt conflicted too. And especially once I seen what the narrative was that was being pushed at the end of the battle. You know, I'm one of the people on record that thinks lyrically Drake might have won the fucking battle. You know what I mean? But I do see Not Like Us clearly was what it was, and, you know, for the, you know, for what it is. So like I look at the situation, I felt the same way with you, so I got the same sentiments. Salute to you. My other question to you was, bro, going back to the interview, it was an ominous moment where Ye was like, I'm evil. And it was like this deep pause. What was going through your mind when you seen that? And like, did you feel like, damn, is this the Illuminati? Like what was you feeling like in that moment?
Okay, that's a fantastic question. So, number one, when he said that, I thought there was gonna be a follow up. Number two, so I'm doing this interview and I'm looking at Kanye through these little tiny holes that's in this hat, and there was moments when he said certain things that I could see his eyes just got so large. Like, I could imagine how his face looked like without this contraption on, because I could tell he was passionate. When he spoke about his kids, I could tell like it was like rage. It was like passion. When he said that, I'm looking into his eyes to see if there's sincerity in what he's saying, or is he just saying it to say it. And what I got was that, I don't think he was looking like I'm evil, but I think that was his easy way to explain, these people have hurt me and I want to hurt them back. And that might be evil, but that's what I am. I'm revengeful. You know what I mean? Again, in no way, shape, or form would I ever say Kanye is God or anything like that. But I understood his analogy where he was saying, hey, I have these traits, but everybody has them, even God. Where he says, yeah, I do get jealous, but God gets jealous too, don't he? Yeah, I'm vengeful. I'm all these things. So, again, obviously would not, would never blaspheme and say this nigga's God or nothing, or Jesus. But I understood that he had certain human emotions that people would probably say are unbecoming. And the whole "I'm evil" thing, I don't think he thinks he's really evil. That's why I really said you've represented God, fear, and ideals. So how do you match that? I think he was just trying to say like, yo, I'm upset. This was someone who I feel like, listen to the part where he's talking about Cardi and he says, yo, this is a final heartbreak. It felt like someone who was severely hurt, like he felt like he was getting stabbed in the back by all these people. And whether you agree with him or not, he really feels hurt. I watched a man who was standing across from me that at many different moments he felt so hurt. And all of his actions, whether it's the outfit, whether him saying he's evil, was him trying to channel that hurt and trying to make others feel maybe, I don't know, an iota of what he's feeling. So that's kind of how I was looking at it, but I was just watching his eyes at that point.
Nice. CL, you still here? Oh, he on the phone. All right, y'all, the floor is open. Is there anyone else who has some questions for Akademiks?
Yeah, I got a question, Mac. Is there anything that you wish you could have asked, or you felt like you got like everything kind of out of the way with Kanye?
No, absolutely. There's a bunch of stuff I wanted to ask. Again, keep in mind, I had a list, and you'll notice it was on my phone. When I quickly realized what it was going to be, I just put the phone on the side. I was just like, this is going to be a conversation. And I realized that he had a few things on his mind that I was going to be able to piggyback off of or try to, get some concerted thoughts on. I definitely wanted to ask him about, situation with his wife. I think that's been a source of public discourse. I wanted to talk about music, and I think for anybody who's, I'm hoping whether it's in Japan or anywhere else, we get a part 2. Music is definitely one of the things that kind of, and he acknowledges that brings people to him, and that's always going to be an important part of like our entry with Kanye. I didn't get to ask really anything about music to that level, and I wanted to ask about his wife, like really his day to day, just certain things that probably weren't big thematic questions, because I think he kind of addressed the big themes of everything he was talking about online already. But just certain shit that I was just always interested in. Like, again, this is a very interesting individual. The dude had a duffel bag in a room that had 3 outfits: the White Lives Matter t-shirt, a black KKK outfit, and a white KKK outfit. I've been joking to tell people, I'm like, yo, listen, I didn't see my man with a boxers or undershirt. Nothing. Not a toothpaste, not a toothbrush. I didn't see nothing in the bag. He walked out the room with the bag. Now, maybe he did have that stuff, obviously. By the way, the guy was obviously, he doesn't look unkept without the outfit, but he's a simple guy, and I really wonder how on a day-to-day basis, he really operates, and also maybe some of the stuff more with his mom, because as he spoke about his kids, where you'll notice his voice cracks a little bit when he's like, I never had family, and he's like, now they're trying to take away my blood. It goes back into the theme that I think a lot of people think, And I think this is true. Since his mom passed away, you know, we've seen a different version of Kanye. We've seen Kanye who has been affected by that, and you know, a lot of things have happened. So yeah.
So I was gonna ask you. I'm assuming I know you went back and watched the interview, and like you said, some things that you wish you would have hit on and stuff. How are you gonna play it now? Are you gonna sit back and just see how things happen? Or are you going to try to reach out to him and, you know, express, you know, I love the interview that we had. When are we gonna get together again?
Yeah, I'm never pushy with artists, so I let him kind of dictate. You know, I would imagine, you know, he has Bully coming up, which is his album. I would imagine around that he would probably want to have another conversation. Also, a big thing for me, I know some people have said they feel like he was maybe in a manic state. I also don't want to do an interview or a conversation and that's why I was down to not put this out. You know, I had to talk to him. Like, you know, obviously at first his team was like, maybe we want to take this part out. And I was like, all right, is he having a change of mind? If he's having a change of mind, if he went to Japan, calm down. I don't want to take advantage of an artist. You know what I mean? I've recorded multiple interviews with many different artists where they're intoxicated, inebriated or whatever. And I'm not trying to put it out to make you look like a junkie or crazy. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm not pushy with interviews like that. I'll tell you this, ever since that interview, me and him have had subsequent conversations on the phone. And I always tell people this. It's probably not the content first strategy, but I always rather build a relationship, one of trust with an artist, more than anything else. You get what I'm saying? It's so for me, the mere fact that, he called me the other night, we're chopping it up, he's picking my brain about certain stuff, he's showing me Japan. Hey, it'll turn into something else and something even better than what you guys see. I guarantee it, but I'm never the one to be like, all right, well, the internet's saying part 1 was lit, let's get part 2 now. No. And also, when you deal with these guys, like, he's a mogul, it happens on Kanye's time. You know? Like, when he wants to talk, he talks. Like, you got to realize we live in a time where these guys don't do interviews. When's the last time Drake done an interview, right? Jay-Z done an interview. Like, they talk when they want to talk. Jay-Z might hop on Spaces and just say a few things when he wants to. Rihanna doesn't do interviews. You know, Kendrick basically doesn't do interviews either. So when these guys want to talk, they come calling or they tell you they're ready to talk. You don't preemptively like prompt them like, now we need to talk again. It'll happen, but I do think it's gonna happen.
Hey, Ak, did you, I noticed, body language, you were a bit nervous. You were talking about monetization, how this may not even get put out. You weren't sure how it was going to go. So did you feel like it was the right move? Did you get any backlash from actually doing this interview, putting it out the way you put it out?
Surprisingly, and I'm going to knock on wood right now, I haven't gotten as much backlash as I thought I could have. But also, I do think I am. Sometimes backlash comes from expectation too, right? I think people know, hey, listen, Ak is the guy who will go and get, like, I sat with Tekashi 6ix9ine when he first came out and people were accusing him of whatever, and he couldn't get an interview at that time. I remember that they were so happy that I was down to sit with someone who people weren't down to talk to. Kanye West a mogul, but not a lot. Some media personalities would be like, fuck that, I'm not doing it. Oh, my brand can't. And that's never been me. I always took that challenge. So, I haven't got that much backlash. But as far as like putting it out, again, I'm very fortunate that, I got a great audience. I've done really good in media. I've never looked at an interview with an artist in what is going to turn profit-wise or bottom line. So that was like really a joke. I'm like, because really, we didn't put it up on YouTube at all. There's other people who have it on their YouTube. And it's just because I don't want to. And by the way, I have a full edited version, but I'm standing there with someone that's completely blurred out. You know what I mean? And I don't want to do that. I really wanted to just stand on the idea of, Ak went and did this shit, and no matter what you thought of it, he kept it uncut, unedited. Even if he didn't like certain words, certain ideas being communicated, or he didn't agree with everything, he's going to allow for every single person that has a mind and a brain, eyes and ears, to be able to see and think about what they're hearing for themselves. So again, when you know, this is probably a huge missed monetization because we could be like, we'll just edit, we're just gonna put it audio out, and maybe we do put it out audio wise, but none of our publishing strategies was for monetization, right? Again, we have versions that we could have put on YouTube, but I'm like, I'm not gonna do this and cut out half of the fucking interview because certain words or certain ideas they don't like on YouTube. So I put it out on X, I put it out on Rumble. I spoke to Rumble. Rumble was like, hey, listen, we'll keep it up. May not be able to get monetized, and I said that's fine as long as you keep it up. X so far has kept it up. Rumble has kept it up, and I'm very appreciative of it. And by the way, the message will spread, right? So it's like the people who did re-upload it, I'm not mad at them. Hey, listen, this wasn't a money play for me. This was to, you know, in my career, I wanted this to be like, yo, Act did that shit. And I feel like I did. So, you know, plus this has opened up like 20 other opportunities, right? Like, there's like 5 different rappers he mentions in this. Hit me up. Yo, listen, I got to respond. What's up? Pull up on me now. What's up? What we doing? This thing
I wouldn't let none of them niggas respond.
So, yeah.
I wouldn't let none of them niggas
respond. You gotta let them respond, man.
Oh shit!
Why y'all didn't? You didn't talk too much on the Bully album.
I wish I got to music, man. We had 40 minutes. Kanye gave me about 65, 70. He really went over the time that he even thought he could do, or he told me he could do. So the next conversation, you're going to hear a lot more about music, 100%. And I know, like, you know, if I'm telling you he's the greatest hip-hop artist to me of all time, and I do this interview where we don't really talk about music, it might be contradicting, but it's really, we didn't have time to get to it. We're trying to get to like the top stuff that was really fresh on his mind. But the next conversation, 100%, we're going to be talking about music, 100%.
And like you said, once he starts to talk, you kind of just have to let him talk and go with it. And you have a great way and style in bringing out more conversation. Even just watching you and Wack converse, you guys can go back and forth. And I just want to say that you have a really dope style of interviewing.
He's a bully. He tries to bully me all the time. That's what he do. He know he can get away with the shit.
No. Wack,
Bang.
I listen to you. I listen to you on Clubhouse every morning, and when I'm hearing you on here, and I've always said, Wack is good. He's a good linguist, but he also is good with mental gymnastics. Wack will convince you the sky is pink, and he'll have a way to say it, and I've seen him do it on here so much, so like I feel like I learned from that, and I try to throw some jabs. You know, we sparring. That's what content is. It's sparring, brotherly sparring.
Bang say did Bang ask the question?
I didn't see Bang. Is he here?
I'm getting a little worried about Bang. Where he at?
Yeah, I got a question for him too.
Go ahead,
Lavish.
Bang, group chat, AB.
Oh.
Yeah. Since you were talking about music, I want to know why you gas up old buddy album like that, man.
You don't like Playboi Carti album?
I don't know why you gassed it up like that, man.
Man, that thing is fire. Man. You don't like it?
I blame you and Kai for gassing that up like that, man. Wait. That was a big pack of mid.
Okay. All right. Well, have you ever liked Carti's music?
The All Red was fire. I fuck with that.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you why I actually did that. Because, you know, he had put me on the intro for Whole Lotta Red, right? That's his last album. And I did say that album was so meant for his fans. Like, if you weren't a super fan of his, because he makes niche music for the most part. Like, he makes his music that his fans will like. But if you're not in his fan group, you might be like, what is this, right? This time, I think he took the challenge to make music that you could play in the car with your girl, that could be played in a club, that could be played if you're just vibing by yourself, that if you're a fan of his, you'll like. And when an artist, it's like, you know, I love Good Kid, Mad City. I think To Pimp a Butterfly is Kendrick's most critically acclaimed album. But my favorite album gotta be Damn, right? When the artist that's really good at one thing takes the challenge to make an album that everybody could like, I I have to give that credit, and I usually think that's the best version of themselves. So Cardi, I think he gave an album where if you someone who likes to listen to it depends if it's your type of music, right? If you like Travis, a Future, or he had music with I think SZA was on the background of one song, and he has Kendrick. That's not really Cardi's lane, but he took the challenge, and I think he delivered. And also, when you have 5-year anticipation, when people are like, when are you going to drop? So many people dropped the ball. I think he lived up to it.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one. I think you disagree too, but I don't know why you lying.
No, I bump those songs. I kid you not, I bump those songs. I kid you not, I bump those songs. I'm bumping. Yo, listen, when a whole lot of Red came out, I barely bumped it. And I felt bad because everybody kept saying, you're in the intro. This shit, I am spinning it.
On the Hunter side, we keep everything real. I think you out here, you just made a promise that I don't know if you could keep. You said the next time you talk to Kanye, it's going to definitely be more about music.
No,
but you also said when you're with somebody like that, you kind of just got to go with the flow. So if you get with him and that ain't something he want to talk about, then what are you going to do? Are you going to force that conversation?
I'm going to have directed questions at him. You know what I mean? Of course, like, obviously, in that sense, I'm hoping that I'm not on a time limit like how we were here, and if we're not on a time limit, of course I'm gonna let him kind of lead the conversation and kind of add and kind of try to bring questions in that could keep cohesive thoughts. But definitely, me asking about music, the majority of his fans, that's what they want to hear about. You know what I mean? Like, they want to hear about when are we getting this, when are we getting that. So 100%. I don't think I'll be doing my job if I didn't at least get somewhat of a segment about straight music. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
So
I get that you would try to push that, but I kind of think that it was like, where you like this last interview where you don't necessarily have a list of what you're gonna ask. You just kind of let it go with the flow, because when he kind of go on his rants, I think that's better for the culture, actually. When he just like when he told you, thank you for letting me get that off. I think those rants like that are better because those are some of the most genuine things that's coming out his mouth.
Yeah, well, one of the things with Ye is that you wanna be able to get that authentic Ye. You know what I mean? Like, authenticity matters to him. And I think that's what you be seeing on Twitter. That's authentically what he's thinking at the moment. And I did ask him. I said, have you been wrong, or have you kind of like changed your mind about things? And it's clear. He's not saying when I say this is forever and always. He's going through these emotions. He's just letting people know what he feels at the time.
Bang, I see you. Go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say, yeah, Bang came.
Yeah. Hey, man, what was your mindset going into that interview with Kanye, coming off that Twitter rant he went into? Because, like, I want to know if did you have any hesitation in putting that out? Because, like, you at that point, your platform kind of in jeopardy. You know what I'm saying? So, did you even have any hesitation in putting it out after you said all the stuff you said, and how you feel about cancel culture in 2025?
Yeah, I'll start with the latter first. Yeah, I don't like cancel culture. Like, obviously, I think I've seen them try to cancel. You're going to hate cancel culture when it comes for you. Before then, you feel like it's a power you have, right? So, for example, if it's someone I don't like and we get some juicy story about them that they could be canceled, of course it's great, because it's like now you get to have some power. But when it happens to you, it's like you realize everyone lacks that the ability to be understanding or to discern certain things, and they pick and choose. One person says A, but we don't fuck with them. Let's use that to tie the noose around the proverbial noose around their neck to get them out of the paint, because we couldn't do it any other way. Somebody else says it, oh, they were joking. So yeah, I don't like it for that reason. And also, I do believe that, the idea of woke culture was a little bit in an ideal level, it was to make people stop trolling as much, but then it got too far. It's like feminism. Like they always go too far with some shit. It's supposed to be about equality, and then now it's about superiority, right? So woke culture became, you better not say nothing against certain things. Like turns out you can't even have conversations on certain subject or certain people. So that type of stuff, I think it just went too far in the other direction. You know what I mean? It's woke culture where people, you felt like you were wrong saying, yo, a dude, even if he want to reclassify his gender, he shouldn't be up in a female bathroom. Like saying that maybe like a year or two ago was like, well, you might be just transphobic if you feel like that, right? But that's a legit conversation. Why can't we have that conversation? So yeah, I don't really like woke culture like that because it prevents conversation. Going into it, I knew I was gonna be able to put it out somewhere. I just didn't know where. And
that's why you went with the platform. You went with it because you knew it was gonna be so polarizing.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. If it wasn't that, whatever it was, if it wasn't that, I was gonna put it on my platform. I was like my YouTube. I was just gonna put it on YouTube. But if he spoke about certain things and wore certain things, I couldn't. And it's not because I don't want to do it. It's that these platforms clearly communicate rules to me. And they're saying, we ain't with this. So for me, I have the decision of, you could edit that stuff out to comply with their standards and still put it out on your main platforms, or how much do you really believe in, this anti-woke, like at least somewhat of free speech? Let people say what they want as long as it's not harmful, or it's not like, people they're not doing call to actions for people to like get hurt. All right, cool. I'm gonna find a platform to put it out, and that could have even been, I contemplated my website. They told us Yeezy.com was available to publish it. I always looked at X as somewhere that was at least, able to facilitate maybe conversations like that. And then Rumble, a place that I have a great relationship with the CEO. They've always said, hey, listen, we got your back. So one of those platforms it was going to come out on. So I'm glad it came out on X and it's on Rumble as well.
That's good that Rumble fucking with you like that. That's what's up.
Good people over there, trust.
What did Kanye say, or what did he wear that like is not okay with YouTube? Because like it was a great video, but after it, I'm like, yo, I heard worse stuff being said on YouTube, whether it was in songs. I saw equal imagery or worse. So it's like, are they like, why would they take the Kanye interview down?
So that image of the swastika, and by the way, the swastika chain, that's actually, unless it's used in an educational purpose, it's a banned image on Meta. It's a banned image on YouTube. Twitter TOS is a little bit unclear with it, at least in this Elon era. But Meta doesn't allow it. YouTube definitely doesn't allow it unless it's in an educational context, right? Like if it was a history type of video where we're speaking about that and that symbol needs to be displayed, yes. But to have it on a bust down chain, no. Also, the KKK hoodie, like the hood, like even if it's full black, again, similar. Those are seen as hateful symbols. That's how YouTube sees it. And, if the video that we were putting out wasn't deemed as having any constructive or educational value, they were most likely going to say that's a strike. So rather than trying to go against rules that they have in there, and by the way, here's the thing that gets past that a bit too. Like, for example, nudity isn't allowed. If you go to like, there's a video I think from GNX, or maybe it was Mr. Morale and Big Steppers, where like there's nudity in there. If you go to the Sex With Me video with Rihanna, there's nudity in it, and it's on YouTube. YouTube allows when it's music content, for there to like they loosen their guidelines on nudity or symbols. Like you could, like a burning of a cross, you see it. I'm not gonna say frequently in music videos, but you've seen it at times. If you just have that in your regular video that has no artistic, intention, they're gonna just take it down as hateful. So, because it's a conversation and not like if it was a music video, If it was a music video, I probably would put it on YouTube. I'll be honest with you. If that was the agreed upon look or whatever the case is, because now that's art. But because what we're doing, YouTube they don't have a lax outlook on podcasting or conversations like that as art. I wouldn't do it.
All right. We got some more people on stage who want to ask some questions. Ebony, did you have another question?
Oh,
Oh, yes. I definitely had another question. Earlier today, we were talking about the whole Jay-Z situation, and people wanted to, I guess, for you to chime in more about that. So when Jay-Z, when you told Kanye, like, you offended Jay-Z, and he was like, fuck him. He bluntly told your ass, like, fuck him. Like, and then it kind of came to a pause when he was like, next subject. I mean, what were you thinking right then and there when you were trying to kind of give a little pushback, and then he was just like, fuck him, and next subject, pretty much? Like, what were you thinking at that moment? Because you did take a pause, for real.
Yeah, he said next subject a few times, but he made some points. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'd be a liar if I said I sat in front of Kanye and didn't understand some points. Did I agree with everything? No. Like, for example, and I remember he did the next subject one on the Jim Jones thing. I kind of understood that. If I do a meeting for you for $2 million, now it sounds petty. I do take a meeting. You're getting $2 million, and then we're supposed to collaborate. And I ask you to do one thing. Hey, could you make a PDF file or docket with, outfits that people are wearing in your city that could help inspire some fashion campaign or inspire some creation and fashion of what we're doing. And you're saying, I don't know how to do it. And that's as much effort as you did. Yeah, I'm going to feel like I'm being taken advantage of. I think, Kanye standing there in that swastika chain and also the black KKK outfit. What it told me was that, and he said this before, he wanted to make it to the point that no one else could use him, right? So he's like, yo, if you're going to benefit from him, you're going to have to benefit from him while somehow acknowledging that these are the symbols he's putting out. And it's not because necessarily he wants to put it out for hate or whatever. He hates when, I could tell he felt he's been taken advantage of. So he's like, a lot of people have taken advantage of me and conveniently dipped out when I wore a red hat because I was supporting Trump or Make America Great, or I was running for president and I said this, or I was doing A, B, C, and D. So that's kind of how I looked at all that. But the Jay-Z point, I wouldn't say I agree with him speaking about Jay-Z's kids like that, but I understand he's upset with Jay, man. And I just kept asking him, do you think that's salvageable? I don't know if it is. And I don't think Jay would want to salvage that relationship, right? If somebody said that
Yeah,
about
it doesn't seem like he wants to either. He's like, why would I even want to salvage anything like that? So
yeah, I agree. So we'll see.
I don't understand the Jay thing. I mean, I can understand the Jay thing, the Cardi thing, but what I can't really understand is the Virgil thing. Like, why, being that he passed and shit, and like he went from fucking Jesus is king to I'm evil is crazy. Like, what you think? Where you think he headed with this? Like, because he'd be like 2-3 years in advance on some shit. So the new thing is I'm evil, I'm the devil type shit. Well, like, where you think he headed at with that shit, eh?
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna have this arc of him being evil. I definitely think that this arc is him being hurt. I mean, but you never know with Kanye though, right? Like, you really don't know. Like, but I don't think that's the arc he's gonna go on though. I'll be very shocked if he does. I can't tell.
I mean, I wouldn't, because I was surprised that he said the shit he said to you. Like, the I'm evil shit took me out, because he went from Jesus is king to I'm evil. Like, that's a big switch. That's a fucking 180 like a motherfucker.
Yeah. But if you watch, I think with Kanye, like, in trying to analyze him, you got to start. I was talking to him on the phone the other night, and I was saying, I think some people want certain versions of him. Like I always hear, and I think he said this before. He's like people say they want the old Kanye, right? And it's like the Kanye that we want is the Kanye that says George Bush don't care about black people. But that same Kanye is the same Kanye who's outspoken enough and who's fearless enough, who stands behind the convictions of what his thoughts are, and is going to say, yo, Taylor Swift, you ain't deserve this goddamn award. Beyonce should have got it. It's the same Kanye who, for whatever reason, again, when you don't agree with him, he's still acting the same way off of his convictions. The red hat. You know what I mean? So again, I feel he's doing him and we like versions of him. So the version of him we're seeing now, we might not like. Then we might like a different version of him later, because I know people want to say he's like a completely different person from that person who said George Bush don't care about black people. But I think that whatever his mindset and thought process is, and also trauma is a real thing. Him saying George Bush don't care about black people, I think that was towards protecting a certain group and also speaking to another group. These days he's more personalized. Yo, who are the people who are fucking with my recording contracts? Oh, they're these people who are freezing my bank accounts. Who's preventing me from getting where I want to get to in fashion? Or who's working with this family that's possibly helping to take away my kids? And yeah, he's gotten a lot more pointed with his critique or him criticizing like certain groups, but it's still kind of coming from his perspective. We might just not agree with it because, number one, we don't even see that. We're like, bro, like, because I keep saying, I'm like, bro, why do you keep talking about Jewish people, bro? Like, come on, bro. But in his world, that's exactly what's happening to him every single time. You know what I mean? That's how he sees it. So all I'm saying is that he hasn't changed that much. We just like different versions of him.
I think Kanye been hurt. He been hurt real bad, and now we getting the vendetta.
Bro,
Kanye.
check this out. He ain't been all that old hurt, all that old. His mother been gone respectfully 17, 18 years. All that shit with Kim Kardashian. His focus is his kids. Bro ain't no soft nigga like that, bro. He got a woman, got a wife. He got his businesses back. He got his bankroll back rolling. He got his status back rolling. This ain't no hurt. This who he is. What the fuck a nigga gotta be hurt?
No, I ain't saying he hurt like that. You ain't even finished hearing me out. I'm thinking he's been hurt. The nigga been hurt.
Every nigga hurt.
Now, right. So what I'm saying is he got now it's a vendetta, a payback, and let me show you who I am. That's what it is. That's why this weird shit is popping off with Kanye. That's what I feel. Because shit, or you can tell me otherwise, and it's more than just one Kanye.
And Kanye been the same person that we been seeing forever, bro. Like he just said.
Same nigga, bro.
That speaks out at the telethon. It's gonna be the same dude.
He's a wolf, my nigga. Like he's standalone dude. Same motherfucker, bro. There ain't no nothing. He's just doing what he does, and every time he does something, is what we call not the norm. And it's shock value. It's a method to his madness. That y'all think dude crazy, man. Dude is crazy, but not in a psychopath way, not in a deranged way. He's crazy in a very creative way, a creative way of his own. Like he said, bro, he the closest thing to Jesus, to God, as far as he concerned when it come to people, because he ain't scared to die about it. And I think y'all missing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nothing crazy about dude, bro. Nothing derelict about dude. There's nothing about dude to let you know he doesn't know what he wants to do and what he's doing. Like, he's very in control. It's just his world. When you're dealing with a mogul, when you're dealing with a creator, when you're dealing with a mastermind, it's their world. You're not going to see it their way, because what's common is not going to be the decision that they make.
Yeah.
Straight up. When I got there, he like, okay, cool. That nigga sat on the couch, got nice and comfortable. Hell no. He walked around, tried to take the picture off the wall. I don't like the picture behind me. Here goes the clear wall. Move that shit out the way. Fuck it. I'm going to stand here. You stand there. Put the boots on. Let's go. Straight up.
Of course.
Was that the best look for everybody? For everybody, y'all can find a bunch of ways that sitting on the couch would have looked good. But for Ye, that was the best look.
It was different.
Hypothetically speaking, Kanye, your client, he shoots you a text that say, after the shit I just said, I think they're gonna kill me. What's your move as a security slash manager? How you handling that situation?
He already think they gonna kill him. He ain't gonna stop moving. He been thinking that for. He thought
I'm asking what would you do in that situation if that was your client? Like if he told you that, how would you handle it?
You with him knowing him, you can't do nothing but keep moving with him.
Yeah.
Dude is not gonna stop. He's not gonna duck. He's been thinking, and I'm gonna be real. They tried to kill him off and strip him, and they did. Adidas, all these entities that was attached to him, right? They tried to strip him, and they did. Now he comes back. He's in control of Yeezy. He's in control of his catalog and whatever else he has going on, some independent shit. And I hate to say it, it's only one other way for them to try to get at him.
See, that's what I agree with you. I agree with you on that
one other way, because the other way didn't work, and now the niggas in real control.
By the way, Gail, thank you for that. Thank you for that donation. You said you're completely right. How people pick and choose their own version of Ye. Berserk. He says, yo, you let them respond, Ye gonna feel betrayed. You see, Brody, thought pattern, don't do it. Wait, what are you talking about? I'm about to get off here, son.
Now, whether he gonna find his cruise control comfort zone and stay out the way, I highly doubt it, because he doesn't think that he's doing anything right that anybody should feel any kind of way about, because he's gonna say, you guys done done these things to us for decades and decades and decades, so why are you mad now? They're mad because he got the balls and the heart and the mind and the know-how and the stability to do it. There's a scene in Malcolm X, and we're going to end with this so we don't lose the room. There's a scene in Malcolm X where they marched in front of that hospital. And when Malcolm raised that hand, everybody got quiet and got, and was on point. Them police looked and said, that's too much power for one man to have. And when Ye speaks, when he posts, when he directs, people listen. That's a lot of power for one man to have, and it's intimidating. But listen, we don't want to lose the replays. Replays on a 12-hour count, right? Yep.
Yes.
We don't want to lose the replays. We got 2 minutes. Academics, thanks for pulling up. This room been open for 12 motherfucking hours straight. We got content. My brother DJ Academics then pulled up.
Of course, man. Hey, Wack. You've always been a brother to me, not only in content but otherwise. But you always pull up to my live stream. I know when you told me, you said, "Yo, pull up to the 100 side." I said, "All right, let's do it. We're gonna get to everything."
That's love. We got like 700 people in here. We're gonna continue to do some things. I sent you something. We're going to start playing fill in the blanks. We're going to fill in the blanks to everybody whose name should be in that indictment before the unsealed indictment hit, because we got this content. We think we figured out the pro bowler. We figured out the producer. We know who the witness one is. There's a few other people we're going to figure out. So you can talk about it on your chat. But in the meantime, between time,
hey, and by the way, one last thing, man. Yo, shout out to the 100 side. I'll definitely say.
Oh, wait. Did y'all reopen this room?
Yeah. This is the new one.
Okay, well, there you go. I don't care. I don't know. If I can want to go to Wednesday, I thought this bitch been running since 5 in the morning.
Oh, no. I'm definitely dipping, but I just want to say, yo, listen, a lot of people don't give Clubhouse, especially the 100 side, a lot of credit. You guys come up with a lot of, we react to a lot of stuff you guys kind of unearth or you guys kind of discuss. So just keep doing your thing, man. Y'all doing a good job over here, man. And Wack always holding it down. I'm proud to see the type of Wack's really a media mogul and a giant at this point. You know what I mean? Wack just be on here acting like he just ain't nobody, but Wack that nigga now. You know what I mean? So
listen, bro. Listen. This is one thing. I got my family and my team that's those people in that lane, right? and I'm focusing on a whole nother lane, as you know, because I showed you what time it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't, and that's why all of us, and even Vlad said it, all of us are able to do what we do because nobody feels threatened or slighted by one another. So when we call on each other for whatever it is, we show up. You know, I don't give a fuck if it's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. You call me, I know what's going on my answer, and I'm gonna sit there with you. We're gonna rock it out. We're gonna entertain, as you call it, your chat niggas, right? You know, so I appreciate you pulling up over here. I do this for Clubhouse because a lot of regular people, normal people who may not have opportunities to talk with somebody of your stature and ask you questions, and they have questions for you. So, you know, I kind of position myself to bring certain things here so they can build with you. You know what I mean? Because with the shit that don't mean a whole lot to us mean a whole lot to them. We got access to each other.
Yeah.
24/7. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's what I do at the 100 side. We've been open 3.5 years, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. A lot of crazy shit didn't happen. We got a lot of crazy shit going on. And, you know, act like you. I stay under scrutiny. We stay under the motherfucking microphone, the microscope. You know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna never go away, man. So, as long as they talking about you, I guess you doing something right.
That's definitely a fact.
But
All right,
I
man.
definitely want you to look at that app I sent you, Dystopia, and let me know if it's something you can do over there. He's one of my brothers that been with us over here on the 100 side. The cat I had you on the phone, he's from New York, so you're off the East Coast. Take a look at that. Let's see if we can come up with something you could do over there, bro.
All right, cool. Definitely.
All right, love. Appreciate you.
All right, bro.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.
OVOA.
All right, man, that was cool. Yo, chat, you know, listen, why come on here and give us 4 hours, bro? I know some of y'all was like, we got other topics. We got to get to some shit. I'm sorry, chat. I had to, you know, when somebody gives you content, you got to be able to return the favor. Okay, cool.